Hi there, it's Rich again with another fast and fun video, and this week's video is taking a look back at 2020 and my time with my Mark 1 Mazda MX5. Well, the year didn't start very good for the MX5 because in January I'd had this ongoing issue that had run up through late 2019 where the engine had just cut and died on me after sort of several minutes or miles of driving, and I'd gone through all the ignition system replacing things, and then that was through late 2019. Got into January and my New Year's resolution was, Rich, I'm going to have to flip and get this sorted. I've run out of both patience and my technical ability, and I ended up phoning a MX5 specialist up in Nuneaton, Sam Goodwin, and I ended up trailering the MX5 up to Sam Goodwin and the team's place in January, and they had a look at it and they did lots of interchanging of parts, which they could do because they obviously got multiple MX5s there, and eventually diagnosed it, and it was the fuel pump, which apparently is really, really rare on the Mark 1s. But I got, as a sort of a New Year's present there, a pretty hefty bill from there of about £700, because it consisted of about 10 hours of labour for them trying to find what the fault was. So got the car back in late January and was running fine. The weather was atrocious, I think, if you can remember, in the early part of the year. There was floods everywhere. I was using it a few times for work. Came through some pretty harsh floods in the MX5, and it was absolutely fantastic in all those, the wind, the rain, the mud, all that rubbish through the early part of the year. And the MX5 was absolutely brilliant through all that. And then obviously we had COVID in March came along, and that sort of put a stop to a lot of the driving and commuting. So the MX5 spent quite a few months then in the garage, off the road, and then we brought it back out and started using it when some of the restrictions were lifted after sort of the first lockdown. And we had some really good times in it, but I was really keen to get one really good quality trip in the MX5, and in August, myself and my son, we planned a challenge for ourselves in this MX5, and to see how well a 26-year-old car could get round the whole of the Welsh border, and was it possible. We planned about 750 miles to get round in 24 hours. How we got onto that, there's a video which I'll post a link just here, and it was a fantastic experience for both of us. The car was almost faultless. We did identify a fault with it, which was the fuel gauges not working correctly, but other than that, it was absolutely fantastic, and it gave me so many memories from that, just that one day. And I strongly recommend, when you drive these classic cars that don't get used much, that to plan these great days out, because they haven't got to be quite as extreme as how far we went, but you really get to know the car, and that we had a fabulous time in that MX5. And that was, we even planned it on the August bank holiday weekend, which was probably not the best weekend ever to plan it, but anyway, great weekend. It was great weather, it was a great time. And then in September I looked, and we'd had the MOT, which had been due but had been extended by 6 months because of COVID. That's due actually in January, so it got a 6-month extension. I was looking at the MOT certificates, I looked under the car, there was quite a bit of surface corrosion as you get on these cars, and I was really keen to try to address that. So I decided in September October time to spend a few weekends getting under the car, giving it a really good brushing down with some wire brushes, get some of that surface corrosion on, and then treat it with POR 15, paint on rust 15, and also Dinax S50, which is sort of a canister based liquid that you squirt into all the cavities and crevices, etc. So your chassis rails, inner sills, all that sort of stuff, just to give it as much protection from the elements as possible. So I did that in September, October, and then unfortunately, just because of work, just because of where we have with the sort of a second lockdown as well, got to a position that I didn't use. I've hardly used the MX5 in the last couple of months, which has been a real disappointment for me. So in total, during 2020, it's been an incredibly quiet year, considering that the plan was when we bought this car, this was going to be used as a sort of a everyday type of car. I've worked out about 2,000 miles in the year, so a low number, but it's not been the normal typical year because of COVID and all the restrictions we've had. So 2,000 miles, that's all. The money for it, running costs for it, consisted of the £700 bill for the fuel pump and the labour, and then about 50 quid for the paint on rust 15, PR 15, and the Dinax S50. So relatively low cost, and to tell you the truth, other than that issue, the car's been absolutely great. I love it to drive. I think there's a few plans I need sort of for 2021. I'm really keen to do another adventure. I think I really enjoyed going around Wales so much that I really want to do another one in 2021. So if anyone's got any suggestions, please drop a comment in. And also this year, I think, or next year, I think that I'd actually really like to do it with somebody else as well, or even a group of us, because I think then you just get a better enjoyment. So I think that's the only disappointment about the trip around Wales this year, was that it would have been better to do it if there'd been a group of us in MX5s. So next year we'll plan something. Something is mad, something is barking. If you're interested, drop me a private PM, drop me a comment on this video, and I'll get in touch when I arrange and think about what mad thing we're going to do in next summer. For the car improvements, when I bought the car, I always planned that the suspension's very bouncy. As you can probably tell with the video, it's very bouncy. It really needs a decent set of coilovers fitted, and that is a plan. And I hope I can get round to it in 2021. It would be a nice thing to do, because I think it would really transform the way the car drives. And then I think the longer term plan for the MX5 is, we bought it mechanically in really good condition, but cosmetically not so. And because it's that red colour, there's quite a lot of panels that fade in different colours of red, so it really needs a full car respray. But the costs of that just doesn't make economical sense to do it really on a car's value as they are at the moment with the MX5s. So I think that's one, it's on the wish list. It'll be something one day I will plan to do, but it's probably not going to happen in 2021. But I think longer term, when sort of finances allow it and it becomes more economically sensible, because perhaps price of these MX5s start to go up, then it might be worth me investing in it. That's it. That's 2020. Let's hope 2021 brings a few more miles, a bit less cost, and lots of great driving in my Mark 1 MX5. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe and stay tuned, because there'll be another video coming up very soon.